Hi everybody, and welcome to our latest episode of the IMG Podcast. My name is David Coughlin, I'm one of the co-founders, and I'm joined by my business partner, Richard.
Hello.
And this time on the podcast, we are super excited to be joined by marketing superstar, all-round excellent person, part-time runner, new marathon runner, and also a member of the IMG community, Clare Taylor. Welcome.
Hello, thank you, Dave.
No worries. So, really excited to have Clare on. You are our first community member to join the podcast. So congratulations on that little milestone.
Thank you. That sounds quite scary.
It's all good, I promise.
I think also one of our first ever community members to join as well. So when we launched back in sort of November, you were definitely, if not the first, definitely the top 5. So almost like a founding member of the IMG community as well.
Fantastic. I don't like hanging around.
Front of the curve.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess obviously we've said that you were one of our sort of founding members. So I guess, let's sort of talk about you, your background, your experience. You obviously run your own business. So sort of tell us a bit about you, really.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I'm a mum, I'm a wife. I'm now a business owner. I'm a keen runner and also a football enthusiast. That's me in a bit of a nutshell. As you said, I'm about to run my first marathon in October, Dave. So I'm just getting stuck into some hardcore training where that's concerned, and that kind of helps to keep me sane and gives me a little bit of downtime away from the trials and tribulations and excitements of running a business. So I started my business last year, similar to you guys, during the pandemic. And was introduced by a mutual contact of ours to IMG last autumn. And I did a little bit of reading on what you guys were doing and where I thought I might be able to slot into it. And I thought it all sounded quite exciting. And I think that was when we had a conversation, and I subsequently committed and joined up, as you said, Richard.
Great stuff. So mum, wife, business owner, which one's the most challenging?
I would say they're all equally challenging in different ways at different times for different reasons.
Right, fine. That's a very diplomatic answer, because obviously this is yeah. So anyway, we're not going to have that route. So your business. Tell us about your business and actually your name. It's quite nice.
The business name. So the business is called Apricus Marketing. Apricus is a Latin word. It means full of brightness and sunshine, or warmed by the sun. And when I set up the business, I really wanted to find a name that kind of summarized me, really, the kind of person I am, the personality I have, and how I like to work with my clients to kind of bring a little bit of joy into their marketing proposition and the way they manage their marketing functions. And when I came across the name, I just really liked it, and I just thought it resonated well with me. And I felt I could be really creative with the branding around that as well, which, as you've seen, I've introduced some quite interesting bright colours that I seem to be becoming quite synonymous and known for now across my socials and some of my networking events that I go to.
But you've had we were talking offline about, you've had a new photo shoot done as well, haven't you? And I thought that the yellow, which you were wearing, was part of your launch, but apparently it wasn't.
That was the yellow. So on my my sort of personal branding photography that I use at the moment, the sort of the yellow I'm wearing was pre-Apricus by probably about 18 months to 2 years, but by coincidence it sort of blended together quite well. So I've just had some new personal branding photography taken, which I'll be releasing over the next few weeks. So it's a bit of a move away from the yellow there to something a little bit more muted.
Fair enough.
That's really interesting, though. Those bright colours and where you ended up. Obviously you started your business now. You said you launched it in autumn time during the COVID pandemic, which we're a pair of idiots and we did that. But what was your motivating force to get going in that sort of time?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of twofold, really. It's something that I've wanted to do for probably the last 3 or 4 years, but my children were quite young at that time and the timing just wasn't right. Like a lot of people last year, I started the year employed in a job, and found myself in a redundancy situation last summer. But I'm a very positive person, and I thought, actually, do you know what? This is a real opportunity now. This is an opportunity for me to come out of this doing something that I want to do, giving me the work-life balance that I desire, that I want for my family. And it's an opportunity to really move forward in that direction. So I decided to take the plunge, really. There was never any doubt that was what I was going to do. I never considered going to get back in the job queue. I just thought, no, this is the right time, and I believe everything happens for a reason. So I decided to go for it, and to be honest, I haven't looked back so far.
And I know you said a bit like us, actually. Obviously, we took redundancy, and whether you take redundancy or not, I'm not sure that's the right thing. But we obviously went through a redundancy process to start our business, and that you're almost sort of forced into it in that state. But what was the underlying sort of desire to start your own business? Because it's more than redundancy. You clearly have.
It's something I've always wanted to do. I mean, I knew, from being a teenager, I studied business studies and economics for A-level. I did an international business degree at university. So I've always been interested in business. I've always been inspired by how, especially international businesses run. I also studied German as part of my degree. I'm a German speaker. And I lived and worked abroad, and it's just something that I've always really enjoyed, reading about and following from a sort of a branding perspective, an international business perspective. It's always been quite interesting. So I think that desire for me to actually run a business was always there, right from being, a young person. But I think what's really important is that you go and you learn your craft, you learn your trade, you hone your skills, and when the time's right, to move into that arena and kind of do it yourself with some real experience under your belt, I think is what's really important, and hopefully that will make the difference, when it comes to success ultimately.
It's a really difficult or different skill set, isn't it, to run your own business? I think that's what we're finding that as well, and loving it. And it's a challenge, and some of it comes natural, some of it you have to learn, some of it you have to really learn quickly. But I think marketing is something you build up over time, and you we're all very good at what we do. But I think running a business, you have to be it's a different skill, and I think you have to have that mindset as well. So what did you have any reservations? I know you said no, but was there anything which really stood out about, I'm not sure about going it alone?
No, I think I will say, I think when you're starting out, you have to be confident with what you're doing. So you have to find a level of confidence about what you're doing. I mean, I've been used to working in businesses for the last 20 odd years where I'm promoting other people's products and services, their brand, their company, their culture. And, it's one thing doing that. But when it's your business, it's promoting yourself. You've really got to put yourself out there. And that took a little bit of, getting used to. But no, in terms of reservations, they never entered my mind, to be honest.
Good stuff. Yeah.
And how really I was just going to say, that's really, really admirable. I guess I don't know about you, but the biggest challenge I certainly face personally is a bit of like imposter syndrome, particularly in marketing, because there's so many talented. I know so many talented people. Yourself included. You're clearly eminently more qualified to run a business than Richard and I. But I mean, the community and marketing community is just so small, and I guess there are loads of people doing such a brilliant job. I know personally, I struggle with the kind of why would they hire me? But it goes back to experience and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you have to understand your knowledge and your value, and when you understand that, then I think you can be a lot more sure about promoting yourself around that. You have to kind of sift through the noise. There's a lot of noise out there in the marketing space these days. You have to sift through that, and you have to find your position and obviously communicate that really well, which is what marketing is about ultimately. So if we can't do that, then we're struggling, aren't we?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you think sort of launching your business during a global pandemic was a help or a hindrance?
People have asked me this a lot, and my answer is I did it when I did it, and I don't know how it would be if I'd done it at any other time. So it just happened to be in the middle of a pandemic. I've got nothing to judge it on beforehand, and I just, there's nothing to compare it against. I don't know any different. So, I believe that if we get through this time in our first year of business, then hopefully that stands us in really good stead for the future.
Yeah. And how's it going then? So obviously you are what now, probably towards your first half of the year?
I'm over that. So I launched officially at the beginning of September.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just into my last quarter. Yeah. So no, very pleased with how it's gone so far. I've managed to secure quite a few clients, obviously you guys being one of them, which has been fantastic. And yeah, just really enjoying it. What I really like about what I do is the variety of work that I pick up. No 2 days are the same, no 2 clients are the same, and that really helps to keep it interesting. And it's really advantageous actually that you can pick up techniques and ideas and transfer them actually from one client type to another, depending on what kind of project you're working on. And it's really nice to see things sort of come together in that way.
I think what we're finding as well, Dave, isn't it? You go into sectors which you wouldn't necessarily get into in a full-time role, because obviously people are buying your skills and services and not necessarily pigeonholing you in but you've got no FMCG sort of background. Yeah. It certainly opens up a lot more doors, I think, being freelance than it does trying to secure permanent roles after permanent roles.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, that's one of the that was one of the big sort of draws towards you guys and signing up with IMG, because I knew that you would also be looking across different sectors than I would naturally possibly place myself in. And I think that's what's happened with, one of the projects that we've been working on together. But it's been really, really enjoyable, and it's been really a nice addition to have to my sort of set of experience, really, that we've gone through that project.
I personally, it's always been a bugbear of mine. I've hated it when people do job adverts and it's like must have, and it's almost like must have financial services background, must have, and I just think you're really limiting your kind of sort of creative thinking. And some industries, and I'll call it out now, some industries, FMCG, are very bad at that. They are literally, if you haven't got any experience of that, you don't get a look in. And I've always been one where I've recruited people who have no experience in my industry, because I want somebody to go, actually, do you know what? When I used to do this in the aerospace industry, and it's like, well, how is that relevant to a SaaS product? But actually, it's techniques and it's transferable, and it bugs the hell out of me.
Yeah. I say that often, the discipline of marketing, the discipline of what we do is transferable across so many different industries. It's really doesn't have to be industry specific. I've worked across railways, I've worked across pharmaceutical, I've worked across furniture and bed manufacturing. They're all very different industries, but the principles of what I do are transferable.
And anything you don't know, sorry, Dave, anything you don't know, anything which is unique to that industry, you learn. Dave and I, Dave first forayed into the industry, didn't have a clue about off-gem supply license conditions and all of that stuff, but he knew how to kick the arse out of a financial services campaign. But actually, you learn that, and if you're not capable of learning that, then you can't do your job. It's just, it blows my mind. But anyway, I'll step off my soapbox now.
I was just going to add to that. It's the old, I remember a couple of years ago now, we did a thing in the Business Marketing Club about human to human. There is no B2B or B2C, which is the old, the split. If you haven't got a B2C experience, don't bother applying. But it's all just people, right? If you can motivate people and move people to take action and do things, then that's all you want, regardless of whether they're sitting in an office in central London or if they're, sitting on their sofa at 8 o'clock at night.
Completely agree.
I'm going to ask you a question now, which is, it's obviously a bit leading, but I'm interested. And actually, I'll put my sort of answer on record as well. And obviously, in 5 years' time, that might be replayed as one of those horror moments. But freelance versus full-time employment. If you had to pick a lane for the rest of your life, why?
What a question.
Yeah.
At this moment in time, I'd go absolutely freelance.
Yeah.
Definitely, absolutely, because I think you are in control of what work you take on, what work you want to take on. You can focus on the work you enjoy doing, the kind of work you want to build up, and you can get that, really important work-life balance. And I think, one thing we've all learned as a result of COVID is how precious that actually is. And yeah, so for me at the moment, it would be freelance all the way. However, I don't regret the full-time sort of career employed, for the last 20 years up to this point, because I think that is, puts you in a much stronger position to then move forward from. I think if you need a good foundation to start with to be able to do that.
That's such a great answer and such a great marketing answer there, because you've almost said both. It was like this, but no, I completely agree in the fact that the full-time element gives you the foundation and the sort of the chance to build on that. I don't know about you, Dave, but it sends shivers down my spine to think that in a year's time, 2 years' time, 5 years' time, I might be back in full-time employment. That's not, you know what, I don't really want to be that person, because I think the variety, everything you just described about variety in that really, really appeals to me. And that's what the freelance kind of environment gives you. But this might be an interesting listen back in 5 years' time. So
well, let's do that. Let's put it in.
Yeah, but I think I agree with you, Claire, and I think there's a foundation where I think you can only really, and it's a leap, right? I think the whole, Rich and I have been talking about this like at length, and we talk about this pretty much every day, is obviously the circumstances or the stars aligned in such a way that we were able to make that leap into sort of self-employment or freelancing, which is fine. But when you're a lot younger, it's a hell of a lot scarier. There's a hell of a lot more risk. And actually, in terms of your ability to mitigate that risk, in terms of acquiring business, getting new clients and stuff, it's less. So, I mean, when I've done this before, it was sort of 2010, so 11 years ago, and I was pretty green. I didn't have any corporate experience at all. Thought I was a bit of a hotshot marketer, made the leap, and gee whiz, I tell you what, it was the most stressful sort of emotional phase of my work life, because it was a roller coaster. Every single month it was kind of, am I going to be able to pay the mortgage? And you kind of creep, yes, I've made it. And then you might have I'd probably take like a week where I just go, oh, thank goodness for that. But then it's a kind of, am I going to make the mortgage this month? So it's like going on that roller coaster for 18 months was, an absolute nightmare. And then I bugged out and went and joined Experian and then got some, corporate experience. And obviously going from that roller coaster into corporate life felt absolutely the right thing to do. It was just more secure. I had people around me, people like, that's where I met Richard, but I had people around me to support, coach and guide.
Yeah.
Which now doing this is not a roller coaster at all. This is very planned, it's very organized. And I guess what I'm trying to say is there's obviously different stages of people's lives and when the right time and the optimum time is, which goes back to your point about COVID or not COVID for us doesn't make a difference, because we had the foundation of our experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess the other point, it's kind of, I'm sort of thinking about stuff now, but if I was my younger self now and the opportunity for redundancy came up, would I, and obviously the furlough scheme may be ending soon, or it will be ending soon. Will businesses contract? Are there going to be redundancies? I expect so. Would I make the leap again? I don't know. It would be tough. And I guess it's, I don't want this to be a sales pitch for IMG, but I guess it's our model is around, we can provide a bit of a soft landing for those folk in terms of, we've got contracts of various sizes of various businesses, and actually the community can almost provide a bit of an environment, like not a corporate environment, but a experienced people around you to support you through it. I think the next year is going to be really interesting, particularly for people sort of younger or earlier in their career.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so important that those younger people aren't forgotten in all of this, because it's so important that they are given the same kind of opportunities, even though they may have to be executed in a different way because of new restrictions that we're now under. But I was talking to somebody last week, and we were saying about how much you learn as a young person being in an office, listening to the sales team on the phone, or listening to the engineers having a chat, in the background. You learn, and it gives you an opportunity to ask questions and to probe, and to, kind of hop onto that sales visit with you next week. That, that sounds really interesting. I like to learn a bit more about that. And, that's one of the, maybe the downsides to now the home working, is that younger people within organizations aren't maybe getting as much exposure as they would have done in the old scenario to the day-to-day that's happening within businesses. And that's all part of the kind of the learning process, really.
I completely agree. And it's something which I had not really realised. You kind of view stuff from your own lens, don't you? And actually, someone said that to me. It was just like, yeah, it's okay for you because you've got an office at home, and you've got, I work on a kitchen table or something which is, over a radiator kind of, and it's just like, yeah, it's interesting. And it's almost how you interact with people as well in an office, in the fact that how you learn to negotiate and work your way around. So one question before we get on to the sort of the community, really. So we talked about setting up our own businesses. What was the one bit of advice you were given which was just kind of stuck with you about, because when you float these out, I'm going to start my own business, everyone gives you advice. What was the one bit which was like, okay, I'm going to keep on board?
I think for me, it was take at least a day a week to work on your own business.
Right.
And I've tried to commit to that. So I'll try to give myself the equivalent of a day a week over the course of a week to work on my own business. And I think that's really, really important. And that was the one piece of advice that just resonated with me as being quite, critical, because I think if you have to do that to nurture your business and to move forward. So you're not just treading water from day to day or week to week, but you're planning ahead, and being a more sort of strategic person anyway. If I've got a plan to hand, I'm comfortable and I'm happy. So for me, that's quite important.
Dave, what was yours?
I was just trying to think.
Shall I give you some more time to think and I'll tell you mine?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So mine was basically, it's linked to what you said earlier, always have 6 months. So basically, it was about making sure you retain enough money in your account to pay your overheads and your salary, however small that is, for 6 months, because it relieves the pressure on your business. And your conversation about, can I pay the mortgage, can I not? And that's how we run our business. We always know if everything stopped today, we have a 6-month runway to basically get more business. And I think that doesn't make us blasé, but it makes us, it means you can make rational decisions, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Dave?
On the spot now. No, I think I was trying to reflect back on kind of when I did this before, and I think my previous business partner, he remains a sort of a mentor to me now, and a friend, and I learned so much from him. So while I say that experience was an absolute, emotional roller coaster, the learning curve was literally vertical on all sorts of avenues. And I guess the one thing that really sort of resonates from what I spent or what I learned from him was about having mentors, and about they don't need to know their mentors, and it's almost like having a like your own personal boardroom. So people that you might speak to or ask advice of or seek guidance from. They don't even need to know that they're a mentor or whatever, but having, surrounding yourself with people that can help you make better decisions faster. And even when I was working client side, when I was in corporates or whatever, that was true, and that's really stuck with me. And it almost helps sort of ground you a bit in terms of, you don't have to make quick decisions. You can think about things and get different opinions, and that's really helpful, I find.
I think that's a really good piece of advice.
So sort of finally on to the community then. So one question people listening might have is that, so you run your own business, you're very successful in your own right. Why join the Inspired Marketing Group community, which is almost competing with your business? What kind of sort of made you do this in reality?
Well, what made me do it was kind of, why not do it, really? I think we've got very similar approaches that work in quite a complementary way, and I like the fact that you are part of a community. So being essentially a solopreneur right now, it's good to connect and have people around you, like you were just saying, Dave, and work with people as part of this community. It's nice to feel part of something probably, a bit broader than just my own business at this stage. I think for me, the fact that almost there's no obligation made it a no-brainer. So I sign up with you guys, pay a small monthly subscription, and to know that you guys are out there looking for opportunities to help me fill my funnel, my pipeline of work, was really great to know. I don't have the luxury of having a huge sales team at Apricus Marketing out there looking for business for me. So to connect with you guys, knowing that you guys are potentially picking up projects that I can take on, why not do it? And then the fact that it was made very clear to me that I can fit those projects completely around my own business. So if you come to me with a project today and I'm too busy to take it on, I've got no obligation to take it on. I can just be very open and honest and say, that's great, it's a brilliant fit for me, but unfortunately it's not the right timing for me. And then you guys can agree with the client either to delay and wait for my availability, or you have other fantastic people in the community that you can offer it onto. And so that was kind of nice and reassuring that it's totally flexible and can fit within my model, within my business, if you like. And that's how we've managed to make it work so far. And I think it's worked quite well.
And I think as well, you talked about you always wanted to spend a day on your business. So in effect, potentially we're taking some of that day lead gen on your behalf. So we're almost freeing up a bit of your time as well. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think we've now worked together on a project for 4 months, have we now?
Yeah, it's gone really quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, so and I think from my side, and actually speaking from the client side as well, what they really, really like about what we've placed into that business is it's a mixed skill set on a mixed kind of contractual rate. So they're almost getting a bit of your expertise, a bit of my expertise, and actually the two blended together is probably someone they couldn't afford or doesn't actually exist. And then from your business point of view, I think we're taking a day of your week to do that. So then you're still running your business and getting another 4 or however many days you want to do. So yeah, we talk about flexibility a lot in our business. And actually, like you just said, it's non-obligatory. It's flexible to work as much as you want to or not for us. And actually outside of that, and I'm not going to try and put words in your mouth, because I think you've kind of said it, I'm almost like paraphrasing it. Even if there is no work, the sort of input you get from the community about how to run a business, just collaborating with other marketeers, is probably worth a nominal subscription fee anyway.
Yeah, so, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when you think, the monthly fee is the cost of a couple of coffees these days, like I say, it really was a no-brainer.
Yeah. So I think it's been great. I think, I think we I love the fact that, you you've embraced the model. I love the fact that we've obviously found you, or you found us, whichever way it is. I'd like to think we found you, to be fair, because you're certainly bringing more to the group than we could ever hope to offer. So it's been great sort of having your time today. And yeah, Dave, do you want to do the normal wrap up, because you're so much better at it than me?
Face for radio, is that what you're saying? Yeah, no, that was really insightful. Yeah, and thank you, Claire, for coming on this kind of journey with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been great so far.
Yeah, so far. We still got to keep it going. Yeah, keep the momentum going, chaps. Otherwise, that'll be it. I'm out of here. But yeah, no, really, really brilliant. Like Richard said, one of the first people through the door. Totally get it. And has helped us deliver some fantastic results for our clients. So yeah, really, really thank you, Claire, and thank you for your time. And if you're a marketer, if you're currently freelancing, if you're on the client side and you fancy dipping your toe and you want that soft landing, then come and have a look, see what we're doing. Visit us at theimgroup.co.uk/join. We'd love to hear from you. It doesn't matter what skill set you've got, we'd love to get you involved. And similarly, if you would like to hire some of our expertise, including the wonderful Claire, Rich and I were kind of all right, but you probably want to. Then yeah, have a look at the website, theimgroup.co.uk, and yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks very much for your time, chats. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Claire, and yeah, we'll see you all on the next one. Howdy.